Hey everyone, good morning. Welcome to the Daily Drop-In Morning Show with the Teach Better team, where we are live every single morning, Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. Eastern. We are currently streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn. But as many of you know, you can also catch this episode after the fact over on Teach Better Talk podcast. It is bright and early Thursday morning on March 10th, and we have a lot in store. We have obviously a deep dive into our conversation topic that we're having this week on technology. We're going to continue to get to know a brand new face of our community, so we cannot wait to welcome in our guest. And then, of course, we have goofy holidays today, good news articles, and so much more. So please go fill up your coffee as you're getting for your day. Maybe you're getting your teeth brushed as you're getting ready, getting dressed for heading to school, or maybe you're already in your school classroom, maybe getting organized for the morning. But either way, we are so appreciative that you are here. We so appreciate you being a part of our little morning crew. Even sometimes if you're listening after the fact, we can still call it the morning. So we'll be right back here to get the show started. Good morning, everyone. Happy Thursday, March 10th. We have a wonderful guest with us. I cannot wait for y'all to meet. Would you mind introducing yourself, telling a little bit about yourself, all that fun?
Yes. So excuse me. So I am Danae Acker, and I am a digital integration specialist for Anderson School District 5 here in South Carolina. And I am a mom of 3 rambunctious boys. So my house is never quiet. I say I always live in chaotic, organized chaos is what I call it. But what I do is I work with our high school teachers in our district, integrating technology into their everyday classroom structure, curriculum, all that good stuff. And I do that through leading PD, going in and, working with teachers one-on-one, and then going into classrooms and modeling. So it's a lot of just different ways that I help our teachers in our district.
Oh, I love it. I was so excited to interview you because your profile on Instagram just popped up on my social media one day. And I was like, okay, I got to get to know this educator. She's got a lot going on. It's such exciting content that you're sharing. And your focus is always how can I help people, right? How can I get people the support that they need? And so I'm like, she's perfect to bring into the Teach Better family here.
Thanks.
So I'm so appreciative that you're waking up bright and early to talk to us.
Oh, thank you. Well, let's just say I'm always waking up at 5:45 every morning anyway with 3 boys. So for me, my day has kind of already started.
Yeah, no kidding. No, that's perfect. So as they go get ready on their own this morning, you are here sharing everything you can with our community. So I appreciate you juggling all the things. I can't imagine that many boys in one house.
It's a lot.
So tell me a little bit, you're doing technology support right now. Obviously, a lot of creativity goes into that. There's so much that we're going to be able to dive into in the show, but tell us a little bit of a background why you kind of got into that space. There's always a story for where we ended up in our field.
Yes, there is a story, but I'll make it short. So I actually went to college as a business major, and my background is marketing and radio and TV broadcasting. And so I was in that world. I loved what I did, but I felt like there was a pull and a calling to do something different and something else and to make a greater impact. And so I come from a long line of educators, my mom, my dad, sister, grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins. And so I was kind of the one that did not go into education. But after a while, after a couple of years in that field, I talked to my mom, who was an administrator at the time, and I said, I think I need to, go into education. I really feel like that's the next thing for me. And so we talked, we, reflected and just, weighed out the pros and cons. I ended up going through the PACE program, which is the South Carolina Alternative Certification Program. I signed up for that, took the practice, did all the things. And then I found myself in a middle school technology classroom. And so, yeah, right. And I always say middle school teachers are just as, just a little bit crazier than their students, and I love middle school. Middle school is my jam. And so I found myself in the classroom. I was rocking it out, had amazing mentors. My leadership team, the digital integration specialist that was in my school, they really just took me under their wing and really, helped me to grow, helped me to understand all the, the ins and outs and the terminology of education, because that was so foreign to me. IEP 504, like, what is that? And so I found myself really growing and, rocking it out in the classroom. And a couple of years later, a digital integration specialist position opened, and they were like, "You're ready, do it." And I was like, "No, I still have so much growing as a classroom teacher." "No, you're ready. You can do this. Like, don't forget about your background. And you're not, even though you are new to education, you're not new to the things that you can do in this position." And so they really encouraged me and helped me to make that next step as a digital integration specialist.
Oh my gosh, go figure. So now that you're in that space, were they right? Do you love it? Is it like, yep, they knew exactly what was best for me, and this is where I want to be for a while? Like, is that how you're feeling?
Oh yeah. It's amazing how people can see things in you that you can't see in yourself. And I was so fortunate and blessed to have those people around me that really just pushed me, because I would probably still be in the classroom if it was my decision or up to me to, not venture out and go and listen to those people who knew better than I did.
It's always interesting reflecting, and whether it be in our personal or professional lives, like it's always helpful to have somebody around to give you a perspective that you maybe can't see, because you're almost too close to the issue, right? Have you had instances like that where it's like,
oh yeah. Even in some of the things that I do now, I'm always careful not to just go out, but I have a buddy who I always talk to that I can be open and honest with, and they will challenge me and, wait, Danae, think about that before you do it. And just challenge me to be reflective of my own practices and my own things. And so I think everybody needs that type of person, or that small circle in your life that knows the best for you and wants the best for you, and will challenge you and will be able to give you that dialogue, so that you're not just out here making decisions and then have to backtrack all the time.
No, for sure. And it's so fun because that can exist in so many different ways and spaces in your life. I hope as all of you listening are reflecting this morning, it's good to have a few people that can challenge your thinking and give you suggestions. And you don't always have to take them, but it's always nice to have somebody who's looking from a different lens or a different perspective. And then obviously this community, as we all have gotten to know each other in a virtual space, it's always nice to then be able to brainstorm or reflect on those choices, pros and cons, be able to discuss it. We have a segment that we'll do here in just a moment called Brainstorm Bank, and it was truly designed with that name because it was just as a space to open up a brainstorming session. And sometimes we brainstorm on student issues, sometimes we brainstorm on, leadership decisions, but sometimes we brainstorm on somebody wanting to chase after a goal, and can we as a community kind of give them some perspectives of things to consider or things that they may want to explore. It's just kind of fun. I like that.
Oh, yeah.
We're getting lots of good morning messages as we are slowly waking up to this Thursday. I appreciate all of you that are here. I know the whole Teach Better team loves and appreciates when people choose to comment and get involved rather than just sitting back and consuming, but being an active participant. Our next section here is all about an app that we talk about every single morning. You guys know what I'm talking about. It is Happy Feed. Happy Feed was an app that was suggested to us just about 3 or 4 weeks ago from a guest on a Thursday show. So I feel like Thursdays are lucky. I'm just saying. And during the show, we had some reflection on the power of documenting moments of gratitude. And while this is a practice that we know has a lot of research supporting it, sometimes the medium in which we document our moments of gratitude doesn't serve us in the right way. We all need to make sure that we are finding the right fits for us as much as possible. And something I really love about the medium of documenting in this app is that it's not only right on our phone, it makes it so easy, but it's also a free app that allows you to visit old memories, past moments of gratitude in some really creative ways. So we are currently every morning on Daily Drop-In documenting these moments of gratitude. And they're going to be things that we not only revisit here on the show, but moments that we're excited to revisit at the Teach Better conference, which is going on October 14th and 15th. As a reminder for those of you, before we get into Happy Feed, that conference has proposals open. So if you're listening right now and you're thinking through, oh, it'd be so fun to get to see our community in real life or hang out and learn for 2 days, that conference is solely dedicated to networking, learning, growing, and laughing. So you can definitely go submit your proposal. Spoiler alert for those of you who may not be aware, if you submit a proposal, registration's free if you get accepted as a speaker. So in my mind, submit a proposal so you get like a discount off of attending. That's my opinion. So let's document our Happy Feed. Happy Feed is a spot where we're going to document. And for if you're not familiar, there's like a hint category. So I'm going to read our hint for the day in case we like need an idea of what we might be grateful for. Maybe you already have something on your mind. It says, did we mention meals? Oh, we love a well-cooked meal. The simpler, the better. So just an idea of maybe food has something to do with something we're grateful for. What are you grateful for this morning?
I am actually just grateful to be up and be happy this morning. You know, these have been some hard years in education, and you know, we've been in the same storm, but we've all had different boats. And so, you know, it's one of those things where I feel like collectively we all feel it, we all know it, but we each also have our own different struggles that we're dealing with. But I'm just, you know, waking up this morning was amazing. My kids were amazing getting ready. And if you have kids, you know that some mornings it's not so amazing. And so I'm just grateful for being able to be up, be happy, and have joy in my heart today.
Oh, what a good one. I can absolutely get on board with that moment of gratitude. So good. We're going to transition here into our brainstorm bank and really get into some meat and potatoes of our conversation. Good morning, everyone. We are in our brainstorm bank section. As many of you know, on Thursdays and Tuesdays, this is the first segment of the show. And on Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, it is the like middle or last segment of the show. Truly, this just exists to be a brainstorm space for any of you. If you're listening live with us, like we see Lori is, good morning, Lori. We love to be able to open up the conversation and ask everyone in our community, hey friends, do you need anything? This is a spot that we can brainstorm any topic you need, because no teacher, no educator should ever feel like they are on an island. So if you have anything that you're currently chewing on or that you want some perspective on, we'd love to hear it. And we don't necessarily promise to have all the answers, but we would love to at least be helpful in brainstorming with you to head and direct you in the right direction. As we get into this morning's show, we also have a theme this week. Our theme this week is kind of a refresh on our technology use. Obviously, as a tech integration coach, though, that might be something that you are very familiar with coaching teachers on. It's trying to evaluate what technology to use, how to be creative with technology. What are your thoughts when I share our topic this week?
I love that, because actually one of our focuses for this year has been, we're a Google district, and so we use all the Google Workspace apps. And so one of our initiatives this year is really going back to the basics and looking at those Google tools and seeing, okay, yes, I know Google Classroom, but can it do more? What can I do as a teacher to integrate Google Classroom a little bit more with my students? Or what updates have come that I'm not fully utilizing? And so that's when you said refresh, I was like, yes, this is perfect.
Well, and that's the tricky part, because we're not only really invested in some of the tools and resources we use because we find them reliable and helpful and kind of easy to work with. But when you add in the concept of the fact that these apps are being updated at a very fast rate as quickly as possible, it's kind of like a blessing and a curse. How have you supported teachers with that?
So I sit one-on-one, and really what as a teacher, what do you need? And so I just sit down one-on-one with them. They tell me their concerns and we go through the app together. So that way I can just show them. And then sometimes they'll actually just start playing around with it. And I tell teachers all the time, you can't break it. Like, I promise you, you can't break it. So just click around, play around with it, and see what it does. And so I'll even have teachers come and tell me things that I didn't know that certain apps did. And so, for example, one of my friends in my PLN, if you're in my PLN, I call you my friend, even if we haven't met in person, right? And so Dr. Katie Ritter from the Forward Edge company, they actually did a refresh on some ways to use tools for assessments. And so Google Forms was one of those tools, and it blew my mind because I never thought of it this way. But you could use Google Forms in the quiz mode, and then you could actually have different sections where you have a video where maybe you're reteaching a concept. So based on the student putting in the answer, if they got the answer wrong, so then maybe it takes them to the video where you reteach the concept. You give them some more questions to kind of reinforce that practice, and then they can go back to the original worksheet or whatever questions that you had at the beginning. And I was like, oh my gosh, game changer. So I'm already working on how I can get that to my teachers, because that is so valuable. I mean, right, real-time assessment, wherever your students are in their learning, they are getting that feedback right away. They're getting the intervention that they need based on whatever skills that they're missing. And then they still get that practice. And then you have all of that data to look at as a teacher so that you can drive your instruction from there. So, I mean, it's amazing.
So I really want to dive into this more, because I think this is a super specific idea that may or may not be supportive of our network. But I can only assume that even if you are listening to this conversation this morning and you're like, oh, that's not a good fit for me, you might hear someone talking around your hallway later today that this could help. So I'd love to dive into this a little bit more. So for those people who are not familiar with Google Forms, it's a space that you can essentially create a quiz, for all lamest terms. And it's you can do multiple choice, you can do short answer, you can do check boxes. There's a lot of different like quiz questioning options. And what you're talking about in quiz mode is that you can actually have the answer documented in the background of the program. So when the student selects their answer, it can kind of navigate them one direction or the other. You can kind of create different roadmaps on the back end to say, hey, they're going to go through this quiz, but if they answer a question, the program is going to redirect them in one direction. But if they answer the question correctly, it's going to redirect them in another direction, which is really, really fun. And for those of you who might be listening and saying, oh my gosh, ladies, that's going to be a lot of work for me. Truly, it's so nice. I loved doing this, collaborating with my counterparts that taught similar concepts. Even if you're sharing this idea with an educator on the other side of the country, if you teach a similar idea, you can all kind of benefit from these different Google Forms and collaborating on them. So when you're talking about a reteaching video, that's a student who has answered a question, gotten it correct. The program has like redirected them in one of the lanes of the forms that says, here's a video. You can just embed a YouTube clip to do some reteaching and then give them more questions. I love that personalized support. I mean, I think that is so helpful for our students who need to ensure that they're not just all robots sitting in our classroom. They all have different experiences, different things that they're going to struggle with. You're creating a lot of kind of avenues for them to get that support now.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, even as a teacher, I think about the data piece that you are getting. So that way, you know, as teachers, we don't always get it right the first time either. I know there were many times where I would have to go back and after looking at an assessment, maybe there was some miscommunication. Maybe I didn't teach that the way that the students needed to hear it. And so I've had to go back and reteach some things myself just because maybe I wasn't on my game that day. And that's fine. You know, our students need to see that sometimes we make mistakes and that we go back and correct them, because that teaches them way more than our curriculum ever could, right? And so even with this concept, you're able to do all of that within a safe space. And then you can even pull those small groups because you can even look on those Google Forms and see that data as they turn it in. So maybe you can even pull small groups from that so that you can sit and really talk about where the miscommunication is with your students and help get them back on track.
It's so interesting you bring this up. I love this concept because a lot of our community here uses a mastery framework called the grid method. And it's essentially a beautiful way for a teacher to be able to design a self-paced classroom that allows students to work at their own pace, but also really thrive in a collaborative classroom, because we love collaborative classrooms. Yes. What I love about this suggestion here, which I know is just one tech tool, we're just focusing on one thing. There's so many out there, but what I love about this is that you have a student who is not only getting mini lessons throughout the day, but now they're getting support and lessons throughout their navigation of the grid. They get to a formative assessment. They share their understanding level. They might encounter reteaching, which is really valuable right then and there. They don't need any teacher contact for any of that. And then after their Google form, maybe they do a conference with the teacher, or maybe there's other steps they do. But you're right, the information, the data you now have collected on the student is so helpful, because you know exactly what mini lessons they've experienced with you. You know exactly what teaching they went through initially on this topic. You know exactly what reteaching they experienced.
Right.
Think about how much information now you have to say, is there an area that maybe I didn't cover well enough? Is there an area that they, you know, seem to be struggling consistently, which you can see in what type of answers they come up with? I just feel like this opens up a whole portfolio that you've now gathered on this student. Now to solve a little problem, it seems so easy.
Right. Definitely.
So as you are having educators reflect on technology, we figured that this refresh was very helpful, because March is a great time to reflect. We did a similar kind of like tech refresh in January and also in the fall, just really alerting our community. It's good to reflect on our practices. It's good to think about what you're currently using and how it's serving you and your students, versus maybe a tool or resource you used to use that you've gotten away from that is good to support you and your students. How has it been reflecting with your educators over the last few years to try and identify what tools they should use versus what tools may not be the right fit for them? That's got to be a tough discussion.
Well, it's all about working smarter and not harder. So you want to make sure that you are using the tools that best meet the needs or the goals for that lesson. Like, it's not about the technology so much as it is about the learning. And so the first question, like, teachers will always come to me, what can I use to record, you know, videos with my students? Okay, well, let's back up a little bit. What's your goal? Like, why are you wanting them to record videos? And so when I ask them what their goal is and what they are trying to accomplish, sometimes we realize they don't need a video. Like, you could, like, if you want to know what they're thinking or something like that, you do a Padlet, and they can just throw an answer up on the Padlet with using one of those tools, or do a Jamboard. And now you have a collaborative space that you can keep, and that goes right in students' Google Drive that they can always look at. So I think getting them to change that mindset of, let me get this tool, and going back to what is the goal of your lesson? What are you trying to assess, or what are you trying to get? Then you can look at and see what tool it is. And that has really helped, because now we're not getting into these big tools that do have a learning curve. Now you're going back to the basics. You're going back to Google Jamboard. You're going back to Google Docs, Google Drawing. And we're seeing that, oh, it's not, we don't have to have this big project when I'm really trying to assess if they grasp this concept.
Yeah, no, I love this reminder that you need to start with the problem and then work towards finding a solution, which may or may not include a piece of technology. That's a really, really good reminder.
Oh, yeah.
As you
and that's another.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, and that's another thing, like, as a digital integration specialist, a lot of teachers think that I'm trying to push tech tools, and really I'm not. Like, sometimes I will tell a teacher, no, you don't need any tech for that. Give them some crayons or colored pencils and have them draw it, and you'll get exactly what you need. And the eyes that you get, like the shocked faces, are so hilarious, because it's like, but you're the digital integration specialist. Yes, and I'm telling you, you don't need any tech for that, and that's okay. Again, you're going back to what is the goal and what are you trying to accomplish by using the tech. And sometimes it's no tech, and that's perfectly fine.
You know, it's so interesting if we've all been able to reflect on technology, how it can be integrated, how we can use it with intentionality. Something that we were discussing before we went live was the connection between creativity in the work that you do and obviously technology. Where do you see that connection exist? When I originally said to you before we went live, like, hey, tell me a little about your role, you really did focus on, I get to work with educators, I get to be creative. And I'm like, and technology? Because that's in the title. So where do you see the connection?
So I think it was maybe my first year in the classroom. I read this book called The Innovator's Mindset by George Couros.
Oh,
And
yes, I have it somewhere. I refer to it
yeah,
all the time. Love George
and
Couros.
like I keep mine in my book bag because I always refer to it. And like I don't even think you can even really see George's words anymore because I have highlights and notes all in the margins. It's crazy. Like one day I want him to sign my book, but I have no idea where he's going to sign it. He's going to have to sign the cover or something. But it really, that book spoke to me and it really changed my mindset. And it really, you know, not just from an educator's perspective, but from just holistically about just everything that I think about. And so from there, I've been on this like journey of how does creativity and innovation affect student outcomes? And I'm actually working on my doctorate, and I just finished a research paper that talked about this. And so I've actually been doing the research on this. And so I said all that to say everything that I do in my job, in my position now, is about innovating and creativity and how do you work that. And I'm even toying with this concept of if we give teachers dedicated contract time to practice innovation and creativity. So like passion projects, like Google gives their people time, contracted time, it's not outside of work hours, to like have a passion project. What if we did that with our teachers? Like, don't you think that our student outcomes would be outrageous? Talk about moving the needle with your students and having those students grow. I mean, what better way to breed innovators by breeding innovators in the adults? It starts with us. And so this whole concept, like I said, it's been a journey for me, and I'm really exploring it. And so that led to a podcast that we do with our team. I've also created a magazine that we give out to our district, and I do it in Canva. Love Canva. It's Canva heaven. I use Canva just about every day. But I created a magazine that's called The Innovator. And that's where we put some tech tips, but we also put great teaching practices, because it's not about the technology, it's about teaching practices and what are your goals for your class. And then we also celebrate our educators in our district, and we call them illuminators. And those are, we call them illuminators, and we celebrate them. They get a little light bulb award. We throw confetti. We do all the things because we want to make sure that our teachers know we see what you're doing. We know that our students are blessed and great to have you. And so we want to celebrate that. We want to make sure that you know that you are appreciated. And so again, with this whole creativity and innovation thing, it's just had so much come out of it for our district and for myself.
So neat. This is why all of you need to go follow her on Instagram or whatever she's on, because honestly, I love the concepts that you're sharing on. It seems like there's so much more to go with the work that you're doing. And to just throw in, oh, I'm working on my doctorate, like I am envious. That is awesome. I can only imagine that experience has led to not only a lot of growth, but maybe just a smidge of stress, maybe just a little, like, I don't know.
Just a little bit.
No big deal. But oh my gosh, so cool that you have all these things going on and that you are intentionally making choices to pursue more ideas, more concepts, more learning within this space that you're so passionate about. I love the concept of really fostering a community of innovators. I think that you were on a mission. I want to sign up. I want to be a part of the crew. I love it. So good, so good, so good. We are going to transition here in just a second to our good news and holidays for the day. It's always fun to kind of know what fun holidays are going on. But I want to make sure that our network kind of has a major takeaway of our conversation. There has been so much that they can already take away. But if somebody was tuning in right now and they weren't able to see any other part of the show, and this was kind of their call to action or moment that they can take away from this morning's conversation, what do you hope that they learn from you?
Wow, that's a big question.
It is a big question. Isn't it nice? I get to ask it and I don't have to answer it.
Right. I would say that the big takeaway is, we've talked about so much.
I know.
The big takeaway would be just to think about your goals and what you're trying to accomplish with your students and go from there. Like, it doesn't have to be this big concept or this big project or anything. Like, take your goals and just start small and act fast. Like that, I think that's the big takeaway. If I could sum everything up, just start small, but act fast.
Oh, I'm such a fan. Yes, there were so many takeaways, but that is a great reminder for all of us this morning. Thursday morning, think about your goals, small steps quickly. I'm a fan.
Yes.
We do have some people, Lori's in the comments this morning asking about your Instagram handle. We will share your contact information again at the end of the show, but would you mind sharing it now if people are tuning in and they want to make sure they're connected with you?
Yes. So my Instagram handle is The Techie Truth. So it's TheChieTruth. I think that's right.
So good. Yeah. And we'll obviously keep reviewing that. And Lori or anybody listening, if you guys have any problems ever connecting with our guests, just direct message me or anybody on our team. We'll make sure that we get that contact information for you. We love daily drop-in interviews, but this should just be the beginning of connecting with more people and having more conversations. We talk about that even during our themes every single week. It's just a taste of the theme. We hope that you continue to explore on your own personalized level so that you can continue to be a little bit better today than you were yesterday and a little bit better tomorrow than you were today. So if you're ever having issues connecting with a guest or finding resources that they share out, please feel free to reach out to any Teach Better team member. We'd love to help you. We're going to transition here into some good news and some holidays. So we'll be right back. Good morning, everyone. We are wrapping up our tail end of our show with some good news and some holidays. I know that I really love to celebrate any random holiday. Any opportunity to celebrate is good for me. But what about you? Do you like celebrating holidays?
Oh, yes. I love a good theme. And so holidays are great to get a good theme for a PD or whatever you're doing.
I love it. No, it's great. And sometimes the holidays are quite serious, or cultural holidays, religious holidays. And that's just so helpful to be aware of the work being done in our communities. Sometimes if we don't identify in a specific culture or religion, we don't always know all the things being celebrated or acknowledged. So it's good to be aware of those so we can be better and stronger learners and educators for our students. Sometimes the holidays are quite wacky, so it's just kind of fun as a conversation starter. And sometimes I feel like the holidays give us permission to like eat certain items or whatever to celebrate. We recently had like a day that was all focused on really, really good sweet desserts. And so I feel like it was permission for all of us to eat more desserts that day. I'm just saying.
Definitely.
For our holidays today, there's a lot out there to celebrate, one of which might be too late in the morning to tell you about this. So I do want to make sure you hear this for everyone tuning in bright and early. If you miss this, we forgive you. But it is National Pack Your Lunch Day. So rather than grabbing lunch out today, or maybe grabbing lunch in the cafeteria this morning, technically today you should be packing your lunch. So if you were going to pack a lunch for today, what would you put in it? I would love to even see that in the comments, but will you share with us what would you put in your packed lunch this morning?
Probably a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Oh, I like PB
with
and
grape
J.
jelly.
Oh, sure.
Yes.
Any extras or just the sandwich?
Um. So I'm trying to get on my health kick, but every now and then I just have to have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. So I probably do like some sun chips and a water, but just having that peanut butter and jelly, like I might go and pack that. Yeah.
I like that. PB&J sounds good today. Like I'm really feeling the PB&J vibe. I could go that. And then sun chips, that's healthy. Water, that's healthy. We could even throw an apple in there to be good, right?
There you go. Yeah.
Perfect. If you're currently packing your lunch, or even if you missed packing your lunch this morning, feel free to show us in maybe emojis what you would have put in your lunch, or maybe what you did put in your lunch this morning. It's also Harriet Tubman Day, so let's pay a tribute to Harriet Tubman's bravery for fighting racial injustice. So that would be a great topic to bring up to students today. Holy moly, foster that discussion. I love it. It is International Bagpipe Day. Any thoughts on bagpipes? I don't know that many of us have bagpipes at home or in our school building, but maybe.
Yeah. Have no idea.
We like to talk about using our five senses when we lesson plan with students. So maybe when students walk in today playing some really loud bagpipe music, that would definitely foster a conversation.
Oh yeah.
This is, I feel like, the holiday for Chad and Jeff. Chad and Jeff on the Teach Better team always say the word awesome. Like that is just their go-to word. Today is International Day of Awesomeness. So shout out to those of you that use the word awesome. International Day of Awesomeness. That's pretty cool. I like that one.
I like that one too.
Yeah. Are you a video game person at all?
Not really. My kids play a few video games, but I'm the old Sega Genesis person, Nintendo 64. Yeah.
Well, so that's why I asked, because today is World Mario Day. So like that's something. Hey,
I might play a little Mario Kart later today.
Why not, right? It's also name tag day. I wonder why March is name tag day. I feel like in a school building, if you don't know someone's name by this point, we need to ask. We got to ask. And then last but not least, there's a few other goofy ones. This one I like a lot. Blueberry Popover Day. Have you had a blueberry popover before?
No, I haven't.
I
like blueberry muffins.
Yeah, it kind of looks like a blueberry muffin. It looks a little flatter, maybe a little bit more flaky. I think we should try one. That can be a goal for the day. I don't think that's going to help with your health kick, though.
No, not at all.
One that also won't help with your health kick, it's National Ranch Day. So if you're in the Midwest and you're a ranch fan, I feel like that's a Midwest stereotype that people like ranch. But maybe all over the world, if you like ranch dressing, today's the day to do it. But that's not going to help with your health kick either. It's
okay. We can take a day break.
Day break. I like this. We'll break it for the things that are worthwhile. I mean, clearly the holidays are telling us it's out of our control. I love it. I love it. Last but not least, although there's a lot more that I'm not naming, it's National Landline Telephone Day. And I feel like one of the only places that you can get a landline phone these days is in our schools. So I guess landline telephone, why not, right? I do have to mention, only because it's my favorite food ever, and then obviously we'll move on to other things, but it is also Popcorn Lovers Day. So today's the excuse to all eat popcorn. That can be healthy.
That can be healthy. But see, I like the movie butter popcorn, so I don't know.
You know, I feel like we should just go back to breaking our rules, and then you can have all the butter that you want. Have we ever concluded that the movie theater butter is actually butter? I think it's just chemicals that taste great.
Yeah, it's nothing healthy for you, but it tastes great. So
I will say we always bring a good news article, and I really struggled this morning. There are a lot of good news articles in the world. There's a lot of things to celebrate. I couldn't just pick one because I found so many different medical, I'm losing my train of words here, but medical discoveries. There we go. Medical discoveries that, depending on where you are in the world, maybe something that connects with all of you listening, you might want to explore further. So for our article today, I'm just going to kind of give you some results that have been going on in the medical field. And then if you're interested in learning more, please reach out or search deeper into these headlines. there are some really interesting things going on in the world, and I don't want you to miss them just by simply choosing one. So here are a few things I wanted to note. One says, a Nigerian mother designed a solar-powered crib that is now ending jaundice disease for babies. So really interesting, solar-powered cribs to support babies that are born with jaundice disease. Really interesting medical discoveries there. There's another one that says high hopes for treating severe asthma after scientists discover anti-inflammatory molecules. So that's going to be really effective for our students that have asthma. And then, of course, one that I just found funny, optimistic men have shown to have less stress and healthy aging in a new study. So looking at the optimism in specifically males, looking at their health and wellness as well. So there's a lot out there to discover, but we always appreciate the scientists out there that are discovering better ways to support ourselves and our families. So really good news out there that people are working very hard.
Oh, yes.
As we wrap up the show this morning, I would love to have you share your contact information again, because I want to make sure everybody here in our community, whether they're listening live with us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn, or if they're listening after the fact on Teach Better Talk podcast, we'd love for them to make sure that they connect with you all over the place to keep learning from all of your expertise.
Awesome. So on Twitter, I'm actually Danae Acker. So DANAE ACKER. And then on Instagram, I am the Techie Truth, TheTechieTruth.
So much more to learn, friends. Thank you for adding people to your professional learning network. We are all family in the Teach Better community. Once you're here, you're stuck, you're family. And we want to make sure that all of you are continuously adding more and more people to your network. That's how we be better. We connect with more people, learn more perspectives, more insight, and then we can be better educators to serve our students. Thank you so much for waking up bright and early to talk shop with us and hang out and share all those major takeaways that you're able to provide us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. This has been a great experience. Yes.
So fun. For everyone here in our Teach Better community, we wish you nothing but an absolutely incredible Thursday, March 10th. There's a lot going on here with the Teach Better family. So, of course, if you need anything, please feel free to reach out. As a reminder, proposals are open for the Teach Better conference. We are in the midst of announcing so many featured speakers and keynotes for that Teach Better conference event in October. So if you have not submitted your session to join that lineup of Alexis Shepard and Jed Derryberry and Janine Letford and Mandy Freilich and Trey Gamage, holy moly, we have two more faces joining that lineup on Monday. So get excited for that. And then, of course, as always, there's a ton going on with the Teach Better family, including a big announcement tomorrow about a very special birthday. So we are all about celebrating birthdays. Make sure you tune in tomorrow for the Daily Drop-In with Brad Hughes and I as we talk a little bit of fun about a birthday celebration I can promise you you're all involved in. So you definitely want to make sure you tune into that. Thank you so much for joining this morning, and we will see you all on the flip side. Bye, friends.